Welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. And now, let's get sketchy.
Hello there, everyone. Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and welcome to Getting Sketchy Live, which we just barely made it here. We had technical difficulties, which is just the way things go when things are live, and when your show is called Getting Sketchy, of course, because we're a couple of sketchy dudes, and we're getting ready to come towards you right now, which sounds kind of creepy, but that's not what's going on here. Instead, what we're going to be doing is trying to create a drawing for you inside of 45 minutes. We're going to have a timer and everything, and I want you to keep in mind that it's called Getting Sketchy because we're creating a sketch here too, so the drawing's going to be loose, and we're going to try to filter in some instruction in there as well. I hope everybody's doing fantastic tonight. Ashley's going to be doing the drawing tonight, as I did the drawing last week, and he's starting a brand new motif with a brand new season, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I know what he's going to do already. He's going to be doing a rooster, but so Ashley's set up over there. He is in the main chair tonight, and how are you doing over there, by the way?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Yeah, it was pretty crazy the last 20 minutes or so watching Matt work here in the studio. It was like watching somebody trying to defuse a bomb before the timer goes off. And of course, our timer is 6:30. That's when we go off. So we're about to jump off right now. I am drawing a rooster. We've got some supplies to take a look at before we get into our drawing. I'm going to be drawing in color tonight on black paper. You can follow along with any medium and any paper. It doesn't have to be black, and still end up with a drawing, hopefully that you're happy with in just 45 minutes.
And we're going to get into that in just a minute, but I'd like to remind you, if you're new to the channel, why don't you subscribe? We cover a broad variety of drawing and painting media and subject matter here. And we do have a membership program over at thevirtualinstructor.com, which includes a variety of drawing and painting courses on a variety of subject matter and media. We also do weekly live lessons, which are a little bit more structured than what we're doing here on YouTube each week. And we have weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, and a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers as well. If you want to check out our program, there's a link in the description below. You can check that out. If you want to check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, you can do that as well. There's a link in the description below to check that out as well. And yeah, before we went live, one of the computers that I used to stream did a Windows update, of course. And when the update was finished, one of the displays that we used 3 different displays. One of them would not communicate with the computer, and obviously we need that to operate. So that's why we're delayed tonight, but we're here finally, a little bit fluttered. But anyway, we're gonna have fun tonight, just like we have fun every week here on Getting Sketchy. And Ashley, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to draw. I'm all set up to talk about my supplies.
All right, cool. Well, if Ashley's ready, then we're ready to switch over to the main camera, and we'll let Ashley get right into this one. So it's all yours.
All right, so you can see the rooster in question on the left. I thought I would start my farming motif, or down on the farm motif, with a rooster, since one of the first things that happens in the morning on a farm is the rooster crows. I don't know. I know that happens all day. Roosters crow all the time. I don't even know if this is a rooster. Maybe it's just a male chicken. But we're going to get into it and see if we can somehow translate this into some mark making, into a drawing. So I'm going to start tonight with a pencil, just a regular drawing pencil. It's a 2B pencil. It may not show up great on the black paper, but we won't spend much time with the line drawing and jump into the ArtStix as quick as we can. So I'll be using Prismacolor ArtStix. Most of them are really bright colors. I do have a black and a brown in there, and this is not a gray. It's a colorless blender. I've noticed on the black paper, I can actually see the colorless blender a little bit, so it's not quite as colorless on the black paper. But in any event, I do have a colorless blender.
I've noticed that too.
Have you noticed that?
I don't use colorless blenders on black paper.
Yeah, it's more like a gray, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so we may or may not use it. I also have a colorless blender in pencil form, just to see if it acts or reacts the same. We'll see. And I do have 3 more Prismacolors in pencil form. They're oranges, or in the orange family in any case, a range of values there. The neutral pencils here at the top are a different brand, And that's okay. I'm still going to use them. They're Dick Blick pencils. They're still high quality. High quality colored pencils, not Prismacolor pencils. And I'll probably not be using the black. I just happen to have one. I'll probably stick with the white and maybe use the gray just to control intensity a little bit if we need to weaken the chroma of any of our colors. So the paper that I'm working on, I believe, is a little bit of an irregular size. I think it's 9 inches tall by 7 1/4 or so. So it's a little bit wider than a 3-to-4 ratio if you're used to working on 3-to-4 ratio papers. All right, we're going to go ahead and move all these supplies out of the way. And I've got a few marks on my paper, so I'll clean those up.
And
right.
I knew there would be discussion. I even told you before we went live that people are, discussing whether a rooster is a male chicken.
Right.
And yes, it is. A rooster, to my knowledge, is a male chicken.
That's what I've always believed.
I don't believe it's a different species of animal. But roosters do look different. A male chicken does look different than a female chicken. So that's it. That's the designation.
That's how we can tell, I guess.
Yeah, and there's some discussion about the music. Right now, if you're hearing music, then you probably need to check your surroundings because there isn't any music playing right now. But hello to everyone across the world. I forgot to mention that there is a chat box, of course, if you're watching this live on YouTube. And, of course, you can post comments and questions. Anything art-related doesn't have to be what we're doing tonight. And we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. But if you put it in all capital letters, that will help me see it amongst all the other comments and questions since I'm manning the chat box tonight.
Man in the chat.
Yeah, Brent Does Art points out, I didn't even know Prismacolor had ArtStix like that.
Yeah, they're kind of an oddball. I didn't know they had them either until I just kind of stumbled across them accidentally and wasn't even sure if they were still manufactured. So I looked them up online. It does look like you can purchase them. So somehow they escaped my attention for quite some time.
Yeah, I have a set, and I think I've used it once or twice. It's really best suited if you're doing like really large colored pencil drawings.
And I'm not.
Or quick. Yeah. Or if you're doing something
right.
quick.
I thought they were good for quick. They can cover a lot of space fast. So I thought they were good for color
kind of
pencil
function
sketching.
A little bit like a pastel.
Right. And we are, since this is, it's a sketch, not always a full-on art piece or finished drawing here. So I thought we would give them a shot in this format. All right. I don't want to get too wrapped up in any details around the head just yet. I'm starting to, but I don't know if the head's going to stay there. So I better back off of those details and try to finish blocking it. Matt,
I think you got a great shape already.
I jumped right on this.
And no timer.
I have cheated.
What are you? You cheater.
I let him start talking.
I just started the timer.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
I just started it. It's hard to see down there in the corner.
Can you slide it
I'm
over
gonna
to
move
the white
it.
space?
I'm going to move it up here.
Okay, that's good because we're going to really simplify the background to just to
Roosterville.
a series of different greens. So nothing in the background's happening there that we're not going to need to see. I was looking at this rooster, and overall, it has kind of a heart shape. If you look at the whole thing, it's kind of a heart. Right, it looks like the tail comes up.
It is kind of a heart.
Just as high as the head minus the rooster's comb.
Margaret says the graphite is showing up nicely. I think a lot of people like to see those early lines.
It's showing up a little better than I thought it would on the black paper. It's because it's shiny graphite. Right. We've got the old-fashioned shiny graphite pencils out tonight.
I really have a habit of drawing lightly in the beginning stages. You're putting down some good solid lines that are shining against the lights over there.
That's right.
Daly says, can you explain your blocking technique? I don't know if they're talking about like if it's a running play or a pass play.
No, I don't think that's what he's
Well,
talking
the Super Bowl's coming up.
Oh, that's right. I actually thought it was last weekend. Shows you how much I pay attention. So I woke up on Monday and checked to see who won.
Yeah.
No, I didn't really. I figured it out on Sunday that it wasn't. So a lot of times I start blocking in a drawing with large basic shapes, and I think I even said block in, and then I started working on a beak, which is a tiny.
Then you started drawing contour lines.
So I'm not really blocking this in like I had said that I would, but a lot of times I do. Maybe I would look for more of a rounder shape or something like that in the body of the rooster, and then look for triangle or something that's more like maybe a trapezoid for the neck. I'm not sure if I'm going to say the names of this rooster's parts right, the neck and the head. But it looks like in the interest of time, I'm just kind of going right for the contour lines and may adjust them a little bit. Hopefully I'll leave myself some time for that.
Alana, thank you so much for your question. She's asking, how is my daughter? And she took 2 tests and she was negative on both of them. So she actually came home from college last weekend anyway and hung out, and she actually started feeling better when she got here. So it was kind of a short-lived thing, and thankfully she was negative, and we just move on. So thanks for asking.
That's great to hear. All right, I'm trying to shake these tail feathers out now. A second time. Slid them over a little bit.
Maybe you could shake them a little bit. Shake the tail feathers.
Shaking our tail feathers. That's right. Now I'm kind of drawing like a blind contour drawing. You know, I'm looking at my reference and making marks at the same time, and trying to capture the character of the marks, but not necessarily get the contours perfect.
Now, here's a question for you.
Okay.
If a rooster lays an egg at the peak, the very apex of the top of a roof, which way will the egg roll, north or south?
I've heard this before. Say it again.
All right. If a rooster lays an egg at the very tip, the very apex of a roof, which way will the egg roll, the north or the south side?
You don't bury survivors.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the I'm sorry, that's the punchline to the wrong joke.
All right. That's if the plane crashes, where do they
on
bury
the border
the
of the United States and Canada, where do you bury their survivors?
Right, yes, yeah.
I felt like that's the kind of question that was coming.
Orion Nebula answered that, but tonight you can't see the chat box, so
no. So what is the answer?
Catherine just answered it, and so did Kalinistra. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Daly answered it. Genre of stubby web, it says LOL. I thought he had answered it too. Virginia answered it. It's hard to think about this riddle and draw a rooster, isn't it?
Sure is. Especially if you've got the limited brain power that I'm working with here at the end of the day.
I know. I felt like I've had brain drain all day today, but there's probably a reason for that, though. Yeah, do you want me to tell you the answer?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, roosters don't lay eggs. They're males.
Oh, it's the same joke. It was the same. You don't bury survivors. It's the same joke.
It was the same kind of thing.
I knew there was... I was on to you.
Yeah.
All right. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy so far.
I just made up a joke.
You got another one?
This might be terrible because I just made it up. Like, in my mind, it works.
Okay.
But when I say it, it's probably not going to work.
All right.
Okay. Do roosters prefer drawing or painting, and why?
Gosh, I have no idea.
Well, everyone knows that roosters also like to cock-a-doodle too. So they like to draw.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, we're done here, folks. So no, not really. I'm actually just getting another piece of tape.
If I say that joke again, I have to remember to say they like drawing first.
Yeah.
Because they like to cock-a-doodle too.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I wasn't sure if it was... never mind. Never mind. Okay. Sorry there, folks. I had to tape down my board. It was shifting a little bit on me, and I just wanted to make sure it's not wiggling around while you guys are following along. All right, we'll get back up into the head. We've just got a few shapes up here to identify before we jump into color. This little white shape. Sure, it has a name.
Some people thought my joke was funny, while other people thought it was bad.
I thought it was funny.
I only have bad jokes. I don't know what a good joke is.
That's not true. Your jokes are good.
Well, that's too kind of you.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about where the rooster's at on the page. The background, we're going to break it into just a few loose greens. So I'm going to put a few marks out here. It may show up, they're extra light, just as sort of a reminder as to where I want to change the value of the greens in the background.
So your plan is to fill up the whole picture plane, huh?
Yeah, we're going to try to fill up the whole picture plane. That's why I got these
That's ambitious.
ArtStix. So,
Well,
All
I'm
right.
sure that it's going to look great.
we got 37 minutes. So let's see. I guess I'll start with some marks in our rooster.
Yeah, you got all your contour lines in
Yeah.
place. And it was interesting to see you do the contour lines, like the outer contour first. You
Yeah.
simplified the rooster down into one gigantic organic shape. And then you filled in the sections in between. So, you can approach a drawing by breaking the subject down into shapes and draw those shapes and piece them together, or you can draw the contours like Ashley did
And then find
and then
pieces.
block it in.
Yeah, that seemed to make sense for me. I mean, I think birds are a pretty smooth shape
Yeah.
anyway. They're almost sort of their body's kind of this teardrop shape.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for this wild tail, they're pretty simple for an organic form, for organic shape.
Okay, June's got one for us. What do you call a color that hasn't been invented yet? I don't know that. I have no idea.
Is it sort of a brown, reddish, maybe henna color? Henna color at all?
What?
That's a color joke from an old Three Stooges. An old Three Stooges sketch.
Who got whacked after they said it?
Probably Larry. Probably Larry.
What do you call a color that hasn't been invented yet? Let's see. No, maybe it has
I'm at
something
a
to do with the
loss.
future.
I'm not good at guessing the jokes.
June, give it up for us. What is it? What do you call a color that hasn't been invented yet? Ooh, I like that you're starting with that purple.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Oh, June says a pigment of your imagination.
Ooh.
Very good.
Ooh, nice pun.
Crayola should call a crayon that color. And it should be like a color that just changes as you draw with it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And
You remember those pencils they had?
Yeah.
That would just,
right.
change colors?
Yeah, I do. I remember that. So I've started with purple in the areas that are in shadow on our rooster right now. I don't know, I'm going to go over this purple with other colors, but it's in there. And I'm going to look for excuses to use a little bit of purple wherever I can, because there's
I
a
like
lot
that.
of green in this picture and a lot of orange in this picture. Those are secondary colors, and purple is the other secondary color. So if we can get little bits of purple peeping through and maybe resonating in our colors, it might feel like it wants to be a secondary color scheme, even though it's going to be totally dominated by green.
So you're seeing the orange and you're seeing the green.
Yeah.
And the purple is kind of there, but not really. But you can include it. There's some red purple in there for sure, but you can include that purple that you chose to start with because it makes sense with the secondary scheme, and it will translate as a darker shadow, but with a little bit of color associated with it.
Hope so, this is a very colorful image, but if it ends up a little extra colorful, I'm totally okay with that. All right, these first marks go down on top of the black paper. They almost feel like I'm not pressing down very hard, so we'll get a lot more material on here as we build up our layers, but it still seems kind of neon right now. So it seems very, very bright on the black paper. So the colors I'm using, this is called scarlet red, but it is pretty much a red-orange. And I believe this one called Spanish orange is a yellow-orange.
All right, Amanda says, why did Beethoven get rid of his chickens? It's got to have something to do with the fifth, Beethoven's fifth or something.
I don't know.
Oh, or dun, 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 dun.
Why?
It's got to be something like that.
Yeah.
Dun. All right, Amanda, what is it?
What is it?
What is it? Why did Beethoven get rid of his chickens? I want to know. And while we're waiting for that, Alana says, Ashley, I'm fascinated by this stick of colored pencil. So many possibilities to use them to speed up the colored pencil process, backgrounds. Yeah, that's very true. I will caution you, though, the ArtStix, sometimes it's a little bit harder to cover over the ArtStick material compared to colored pencil, like the regular wax-based colored pencils. I'm not really sure why that's the case.
I thought maybe they're a little bit denser wax.
I think that there's more wax to pigment ratio in the ArtStix.
I think so too, and I think it's to help them not break as easy since they're not protected inside of the wooden case.
Yeah.
You know, I have broken one of these already. I didn't drop it from very high, but it's still broken. It was even, I mean, its plastic was still all the way around it. So you do have to still be careful with them. So I think Matt's right about that. They're probably just a little hard.
The reason why I tell you that is because I don't want you to think that you can, like, if you want to create kind of an underpainting approach and you feel like maybe you could cover a whole area with a solid color and then layer colors on top, you might could do that, but you might run into some difficulty laying those colors over the top, and you don't want to get in a situation like that where you've spent that time. So maybe experiment a little bit before you go all in with it. I do that all the time when I'm using a combination of material and I'm not really sure how they're going to work together or how colors are going to appear once they're layered over top of each other. So Alana follows up and says, how well do they blend?
We're going to find out, I guess. You know, I don't actually have a whole lot of experience with them either. That's why I wanted to use them tonight. So, but they are, you know, they're still Prismacolor. They're still wax. So should be similar.
Yeah, I think you can think of it like you're just really zoomed into the paper, and you're going to see the texture of the marks with ArtStix. That's why I thought that they might be better suited for large works. But Ashley's covering a lot of ground here in the smaller one. Real quick, Brent Does Art says, my high school art teacher said there's no such thing as purple, it's violet.
And I think I had that same teacher, Brent.
We're not going to get into that discussion because that can go in all different directions. Real quickly, some people believe violet is a little bit more of a red purple and purple is more of a blue purple. I don't really agree with that, but, you know, I don't think there's any rules with that.
I would say believe what you want, and if someone says the word purple, still know what they mean.
Right.
Because I had a teacher that forbid us from using the word purple in the classroom, and, you know, that was fine. I followed his rules while I was in his classroom.
And it's my opinion that purple and violet are the same. Now, I'm sure there are going to be people that argue against that, and that's fine.
I am really skipping around. We're going to have a lot of disconnected marks that hopefully the black paper brings together.
Oh, I'm sure it'll...
You know, I've grabbed some highlights already. There's some really little light specks in some of the small feathers in the middle of the body. And, you know, light colors don't go over dark colors well with colored pencils.
Yeah.
So I'm putting the lighter marks in that just seem like they're floating out there alone.
That's smart.
We'll get to the midtones and the darker colors in around and over those, and hopefully they'll come together and they won't feel like like I'm doodling.
Yeah, and since you're working on black paper, you can really focus on the lighter values because if you run out of time, which I don't think you will, but if you did, you would still have at least a range of value instead of just having mostly dark values.
That's true.
All right, you remember when Amanda said, why did Beethoven get rid of his chickens?
Oh, yeah.
It's because they kept chanting to him, Bach, 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 Bach.
Bach, 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 Bach.
I guess Bach was his contemporary competitor,
I guess
maybe?
so.
I don't know.
I guess they were alive
Were they
at the same
around
time.
the same time? I don't know if they were or not, but that's a funny joke.
Like Titian and Michelangelo, they were sort of competitors.
All right, Russ points out, can't you generally sneak in color that's not present as long as the value is correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that is correct.
We have a lot of freedom with the colors that we choose to use, but not much with the value. All right, I'm going to get away from the chicken for a little bit and just start working around in the background. And I have a cool green called True Green that I'll work into the foreground. And, you know, they're grass blades. They go in quite a variety of directions. And I just want to basically scribble this in.
And there you can see how just a bit of lighter value up against that darker paper already creates a range of value. Because
the black
even
where
the texture of the paper is, preventing a lot of the green from staying on the surface. So you're getting a little bit of a surface texture visible.
Right.
That's creating different varieties of value of that green.
And I am drawing on the smoother side of Canson Mi-Teintes paper.
And the smoother side does have a texture.
Yeah,
it does have a noticeable texture.
Right.
It's not super smooth.
Right.
That grass looks great.
Thanks.
With just those few marks,
And we'll get some other color in there just so it's just for interest.
And that's really, that's good evidence of while working on black paper gives you some advantages. As you're kind of creating the silhouette of the legs.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't feel like the paper's completely blank, even when it is in areas. So,
And Alana says, these marks remind me of your path sketch last season. I love this style, Ashley.
well, thank you.
And yeah, I think it's very similar. You used pastels for that one, right? Pastel sticks, hard pastels. Yeah.
Wait, you mean for the path?
For the path,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. They were just, might have had some pastel pencils in there too. I can't remember, but they were traditional pastel.
And I feel like
Not
these
oil pastel.
ArtStix have kind of produced a similar look, but with less powder and dust, and definitely more of a waxy crayon feel.
No dust.
Yeah.
No dust. So, all right.
Now, our Hoot and Holler is asking, is Ashley using the harder, very thin Prismacolors, or are those the Premier ArtStix?
They're the Premier.
They're the Premier, so they're the softer
that's
ones.
right. Similar, supposedly the same as what's inside the Premier pencils.
Do they make very thin ArtStix, I wonder? I'm not sure if those
I'm not
would...
saying they don't, but I haven't used them. I forgot my shadow. I have to dig that back out. If anybody told you that colored pencils don't erase, they're only mostly right. They erase some. All right, so I've got 3 greens that I'm starting with in the background, and I'll put other colors into them. In fact, in part of the background, I'm going to put a brown down first. But I'm going to go ahead and use my darkest green now, and just maybe the dark and the medium green, and get some marks in my Rooster's shadow. There we go. Oh, that's better. That's better. It looked too flat in there. And I'm going to use the same medium green and work my way up the front of the Rooster. By having some value in the background, the paper is so dark that I feel like I'll be able to work on the Rooster, do a better job working on the Rooster once he's in a space, once he's in an environmental context.
Well, I really like the way that you're defining the Rooster by addressing the background.
It just kind of carving
It's
them out a
really,
little bit.
it's forming the body of the chicken, and it's making some of those values on the body of the chicken make more sense. And it does have a really nice look. The repetitive strokes you're making with the ArtStix and the black of the paper showing through, it's got kind of
grass is so challenging because of all those little shadows.
Right.
But if you work on a dark surface, you take that challenge away.
Well, it has a really nice stylized look about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really like it.
I always like to scribble. My son did a landscape drawing that I had not seen, and just found it laying around the house, and it was scribbled in, and it looked great. I didn't tell him to do that. So, must be looking at my sketchy artwork from a season's past. All right, now in some of the background, I want to go ahead and switch. I'm going to switch to a brown. Now, you might be able to tell there are some hens in the background. They're kind of out of focus. We're going to ignore them. We're going to ignore all the sticks in the background. We're just making a texture of colors and values. That's pretty much where we're going to leave the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put a brown down first, up to a line that I had drawn right here, and you may not see it anymore. It's right about there. And a little bit around our Rooster's head. Now, I don't mind telling you, when I chose this image, I did worry about the 45-minute time constraint. So we'll see how we do there. I just looked at the clock, and it's farther than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I thought you're making really good progress.
Oh, I don't know.
I think you need to go with that stylized look.
Yeah.
That kind of electric contrast between the brighter colors and the black of the paper is really cool.
We're going to keep that.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to keep that. All right. Let me get some more greens in the background, a little bit of the darker green, and then the medium green. I'm going to go back to that. Yeah. There we go. So now we're doing a little bit of layering. There's some mixing happening. Still going to be a lot of black speckles showing through in the background. I'm going to totally cover or be able to totally cover that.
Margaret says these are waxy products. Is Ashley keeping his hand raised or no smudging? I think he's keeping his hand out of the way, but these aren't going to smudge.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm pretty much working with my hand off the paper as long as I've got the sticks in my hand. When I switch to a pencil, yeah, I'm resting my hand on the paper some. But I mean,
yeah, these are not going to smudge.
Yeah, they don't really go anywhere.
Yeah, it looks like it really translates a little bit as hard pastel drawing.
Yeah, it sure does. It looks like a new pastel drawing, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, these even look like new pastels.
Yeah, I know.
When I first got in my hands, I was so confused.
Yeah,
because they didn't
wax,
say
though.
Prismacolor on them. They just had, and I thought, are these individually wrapped new pastels? But they weren't.
Well, now my ArtStix don't have those fancy little codes on them.
Fancy little wrapping. Right.
Were those purchased
name.
individually?
I don't think so. I think they were purchased in large groups of specific colors, like 9 of this color, 12 of another, that kind of. So they were individually selected. So that's just the way they came. Not in sets. A little bit of light up there in the corner.
Bray says Ashley got the extra minutes from cheating.
You remember?
Yeah, we just started everything late tonight. We were late starting the broadcast.
Hey, I'm telling you. This has been my whole day. Right? No, it's because I'm close to you. This has been how my day went.
Oh, no. This is how my life has been recently.
I got up this morning and fell asleep twice again before I finally made it out of the house. I just kept falling asleep this morning.
You know, there was a 2-hour delay yesterday. And the day before that, they were going to do a 3-hour delay, but they decided to close schools at the last minute. So I had in my mind, I have to leave to take the kids at 10:15.
Yeah.
And so for the 3-hour delay, then they canceled school, and I guess I kind of let go of that thought, but it came back the next day when it was a 2-hour delay. Yeah. So at 9:15, I was not ready to go.
You were running late.
And because I thought I had to take the kids at 10:15. And I completely forgot. I did not realize that it's a 2-hour delay, not a 3-hour delay.
We don't have 3-hour delays where my kids go to school.
I know. 3-hour delays are ridiculous.
Y'all closed or had a delay and then closed.
Yeah.
We were at school on time in the ice, and there were teachers and students wrecking all over the county. We close schools if it snows in the state next to us. But on a day that it actually ices all over the roads, not a peep from the school system.
Well, it started. What happened here, and Buddy's asking about this, what happened is we live in a transition zone where it's very difficult for weather people to actually figure out if it's going to be raining, snowing, or icing in the winter.
That's true.
Because the way weather systems come through here, we're like on a line where the freezing line could be really high or it could be really low, and it fluctuates greatly. So in this particular case, most of the weather forecasters were not predicting anything but rain. But what happened is it was freezing rain and a little bit of sleet, and it became very treacherous.
And it stayed colder by a few degrees than I thought it would.
Right, it hovered around 29, 30 degrees.
Till like noon.
Right.
And it was supposed to all be over by like 8.
But this all started happening like an hour before school was supposed to start. So it started at like 6 o'clock or something like that. But our school system actually made the delay a little bit. They made the call earlier because the school system that my kids go to is pretty small. But the school system you work in is very large.
Right.
So the buses had already left and gone to pick up
Once
people
the
in your
buses
school
start
system.
rolling, there's no turning them
Right.
around. You can't put that horse back into the barn.
But because my school system or my kids' school system is smaller, they were a little bit more flexible on calling the delay initially, and then they went ahead and called school off because it really was pretty bad until lunchtime.
It was.
And Kalanista? Your name looks so beautiful the way it's written out, but I just cannot pronounce it. Ask, where are you in North Carolina? We're kind of in the central part, kind of lean towards the western part, but it's kind of central western.
The western Piedmont.
Western
of North
Piedmont,
Carolina.
that's what they call it. Some winters we have lots of snow and wintry weather, and some winters we don't have any. And this winter has been pretty wintry. So it hasn't ice, snow.
The previous winters, I think the previous 3 we had almost no snow, or maybe so. We'll miss a few years, and then all of our kids will outgrow their snow clothes, and then once they outgrow their snow clothes, you know that you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
So my kids have all new snow clothes this year, so it probably won't snow again for several more years.
Yeah, it's always a mad rush to buy sleds.
Oh yeah. We did the same thing, and I broke one of them within minutes. I tried to go down the hill standing up on it.
I broke my rib.
Well, you broke you actually fared
Which
worse.
still hurts a little bit. It still hurts. If I sleep at all on it, like if I roll over in the middle of the night, I wake up and it still hurts.
And you can tell.
But it was worth it. And if you want to see the hill where I broke my rib, I did a drawing of it and posted that video on YouTube. Not this past Tuesday, not yesterday, but the previous Tuesday. So you can, and if you look real close at the end of the video, you can see me actually fall while trying to surf down the hill.
Well, I'm sure your kids will remember that forever.
Buddy says where she lives, she seems to face similar unpredictable weather conditions. Well, the weather conditions aren't necessarily unpredictable. It's just when it comes to determining if it's going to be snow, ice, or rain.
Right.
They just can't get that.
Right. They can tell us that something's coming, but
Right.
they can't very well always predict whether or not, there's going to be a pocket of warm air.
It's been so bad
mixed
before.
in that causes
Do you remember the year? It's been probably
ice.
7 or 8 years ago when all the weather forecasters were calling for rain, and it snowed like 8 inches.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Like nobody was calling for it to snow, and everybody got snowed in.
Yeah, we get these crazy, and I like that. I like being able to be surprised in this information age that we live in. It must be what it was like hundreds of years ago, when you just go outside and see what the weather is that day.
Right.
And you might be shocked. You might be surprised. Keeps it interesting.
You might get eaten by an animal.
Goes to prove our phones can't tell us everything.
Your shirt, the sleeve of your jacket is glittering under the camera. It's like magical. It's like you have a magical arm.
Weird.
It's very glittery. Do you see that? Is that happening over there in reality?
It's not doing it on my screen.
It's just camera magic.
It's this gold pencil I've got.
You spilled it all over your sleeve.
I've been coloring in my sleeves.
Now, you've been wearing glitter, haven't you?
No, but I found this gold pencil
You
today.
haven't been working with glitter in your classroom.
No, not at all.
Thank goodness.
You know me. You know me. I have a hate relationship with glitter.
All right, buddy asked, how's my rib? My rib is a lot better. And as I mentioned before, it still hurts every once in a while, but it is a lot better. So thank you for asking. And Alana says that black paper is really working for you with those tail feathers, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of the work for him.
It is starting to happen back here on some of these beautiful feathers.
June says she broke a rib, 3 ribs a few years back. Worst pain ever. Yeah, it was the sneezing and the coughing and the general breathing that was really painful, but it got a little bit better every day. Actually, the second or third day was pretty much the worst. Then it started getting better. All right, genre of stubby web asks, will you be able to brighten those colors, or is that how those pigments are made?
No, we can still get rid of more of the black in there. That's the intent.
Yeah, it's
building them up.
Yeah,
Building
and
them up.
the
Let me do a little
paper
bit more here.
the paper has some texture, so the colors are going to be a little bit darker because the black of the paper is showing through in those areas. But once that's covered up, they get a little bit brighter.
I am building them up a little bit gingerly, just to make sure I don't go too far too fast. But you can't really do much too fast when there's a timer. So,
Margaret asked, any loose guidelines regarding when to use black paper? Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I made a video and a post on this not too long ago. It's the name of the video, I think, is Drawing on Black Paper. It's on YouTube. And the thumbnail, I think, says, are you overlooking this paper? And in that video, I address situations when you would want to use black paper, what black papers I would recommend, and what mediums work best on black paper. So watch that video, and that will answer that question for you. Let's see. Laura says, I'm using a small set of Caran d'Ache Neo Pastel Wax Based. Those are really cool because you can wet them and they activate. I don't know if you know that or not, but you can activate those Neo Pastel Wax Based crayons, and they turn into kind of like a waxy watercolor. And now that works great for, kind of as an underpainting for colored pencil applications. Better to use the same product, oil-based or Prismacolor Firm New Pastel. Didn't have black paper, using blue-gray Mi-Teintes pastel paper. Brighten. There's a word there, I'm not really sure what it is. Help to brighten. Is it better to use the oil-based? Okay, it's better to, if you, since the Caran d'Ache wax-based crayons are wax-based, it would be best to use wax-based colored pencils with those. You could still probably maybe get away with some oil-based colored pencils over the top of those applications. Maybe I'm thinking like the Faber-Castell polychromos pencils. You might be able to apply over the top of that, but I would try to keep your binders similar. So wax on wax, oil on oil.
Wax on wax.
We got another comment here. Did you ever hear of the Polish weatherstone? If you look at it and it's dry, it's nice weather. If it's wet, it's raining. If there's snow on it, it's snowing. I like that. That's a good way to measure the weather. But what if the sun's out and it has been raining? Then the rock is wet and the sun is shining.
No.
So
have to go back inside and try it again in a few hours.
have to go get your umbrella.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Get into the comb a little bit. Been saving this for
Okay,
dessert.
Orion Nebula follows up on the Neo Pastel Wax Crayon. I used them with colored pencils in the past, and I made a video with that. I drew a cupcake, and they worked really well with the colored pencils. I used the Neo Pastels, or the wax crayons. I hope I'm calling them correctly, but or referring to them correctly. But I used them as somewhat of an underpainting, and then applied the colored pencils applications over the top. I'm not sure how well the reverse would work, but since the wax crayons are a little bit bulky anyway, it makes sense to kind of use those to cover larger areas. But they worked great. But again, I activated all of my applications with water. So I put some of the material down, and then I added some water very, very gently with a moistened brush. Let's see. Alana says, Matt, it's my first year anniversary with you guys this week. Paid for my second year of membership, worth every penny. Thank you so much for that, Alana, and thank you for being a member.
Happy anniversary.
And thanks to all you guys for just watching this video and being here, part of our live stream here on YouTube. Those of you who are members, those of you who aren't members, we're glad to have all of you here. And so fantastic to be able to do this. A lot of fun. K.M. Robinson says, what are you going to name this rooster? Glitter?
I don't know what you're talking about with my sleeve. I'm gonna have to I have to watch it.
We all see
Watch
you
a replay.
shiny and being shiny and sparkly. Buddy asked, what exactly is wax made of? Clearly, wax is made of wax, okay?
Wait a minute. Nobody's
You
ever
take a
asked
lot
that
of
question
wax
before.
and you put it together with more wax, and then you have wax. I'm pretty sure they get it from your ear. Is that right?
Yeah, I was going to say ears and bees, ears and bees.
Yeah, that's where that comes from, ears and bees. Yeah. There's probably just different types of wax, maybe.
Well, I have a big stick of beeswax at home that I use for a variety of things.
What do you use beeswax for? Do you put it on your lips?
No, you use it to fill in. Very funny, very funny. You use it to fill in.
Well, people do that.
Oh, do they really?
Yes, there's like
you're
Burt's
right.
beeswax.
Like Burt's beeswax.
Yeah, that was serious.
Okay, now it's for filling in the cracks of slate for pool tables.
Oh,
When you
okay.
put the slate together, you melt the beeswax into the cracks and then shave it down with a razor blade so it's a super flat surface.
Oh.
You can also use beeswax and I think paraffin wax is better for this. I've got a brick of paraffin wax too, and I use that on the bottom of old wooden drawers that don't have like hardware inside.
Yeah,
and
so it helps
it
it
makes
roll.
them slide great.
Well,
they slide great.
My wife was talking about
old
how
school.
they used to put wax on their skis when she skied on the ski team, and
Good gracious.
to
That
go
sounds-
faster.
yeah, that sounds
because when we were
dangerous.
talking about putting wax on the surfboards, she thought we were going to put wax on the bottom of the surfboard
And
not the top.
to make it slick.
make it slide
But in
over the water
surfing,
easier
you
or
do it so
something.
that you stick to the board.
Right.
Isn't
yeah.
that weird?
Yeah.
You know,
I guess so.
So that it's not
So
slick.
that is wax being used as something that reduces friction, and wax also being used on something to increase traction
Yeah.
or friction.
Magic of wax.
Okay, David says wax comes from animals like whales.
Blubber.
Catherine says she doesn't see any sparkles.
Thank
Well, you're not in the room with him. He's sparkling.
It's not true.
If you look over there, it looks like a Barbara Walters special.
I guess it depends on
He's
who,
just glowing, and
it
there's like
depends-
little,
no.
little shiny, sparkly stars.
It depends on who manufactured your screen, because we got multiple screens in
Now,
here.
wait a minute.
Mine aren't sparkling.
You don't. So you don't see your shirt sleeve sparkling over there. Look at that. It's
Oh, you know what it is? Because I'm not wearing glasses. I do see it when I got a little closer.
yeah.
I can
You are
see it.
you are like straight glittering,
That
shining.
is awesome. I feel like David Bowie.
Did you brush up against any leprechauns on the way over here? Pick up some gold.
Yeah. Well, I told
Yeah,
you.
you could be David Bowie.
I got my gold
Ziggy
pencil.
Stardust over there.
Yeah, Ziggy Stardust. That's the name of our rooster, Ziggy.
That's
Ziggy
it.
Stardust.
Perfect. Ziggy Stardust. And it's perfect for the colors.
Yeah, that's right, because he is a little bit electric.
Oh, man. Wish we could play some Ziggy Stardust right now.
We could have a different intro next
We
week.
would get a copyright
Yeah, we can't do
infringement
that. We'd get in trouble.
penalty.
But you can hear it in your head.
You can hear it in your head.
I'm listening to it right now.
So the pencil looks like it's working pretty well with the.
Oh yeah, it
is
is.
it jiving in the same way that you would expect with a?
With regular pencils? I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean they're both premier
Right.
brand or premier branded Prismacolor products, so they're not so different that they're incompatible. And in fact, one of the selling points on the Prismacolor's, I guess, description is that you don't have to sharpen them, you know, because they're square sticks. They have got all the different edges.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to sell them as good for large or small work. Large for covering a lot of space, and good for small work because you don't have to stop and sharpen as often. I thought that was creative marketing.
Well, there's lots of that in the art world, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sketch Shinover says, "Don't worry about where wax comes from. It's none ya beeswax anyway."
Oh boy, we're just this is like a comedy show tonight. That's
Okay,
great.
M. Robinson says, "Can you arch the right leg a little in the middle like the painting?" Do you mean like the photograph?
You mean this leg here?
I think that he's talking about maybe the diagonal slant that happens at the bottom of the body on the left side.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, you could do that with a little bit of green if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could get real nitpicky with this, of course, and you could go in and
Like that.
yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
In there.
Done, and done.
John, thank you for that. Need your eyes. All right, let's see. How long do we have? We've got 3 minutes. So we're got to just, with the amount of time we have, where do we want to spend our time? So
okay, Aletha Williams has
here and then back in the tail.
Has the answer. Wax pencil is usually made from non-toxic opaque wax like paraffin, beeswax, kerosene, caranuba, or spermaceti wax.
She's just.
I hope I said all those words.
She's just getting you to say funny things.
The next thing's just going to have a bunch of jumbled letters and then wax.
Let's see if he'll read
and then a
this
smiley
off.
face.
Let's see if he'll read this one out.
Laura suggested that the rooster's name be Ziggy Bowie. I think that's pretty good.
Ziggy Bowie.
Ray says if it's a comedy show, then the rooster's name should be Lil Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Let's see. I missed some grass in here.
Yeah, I agree with you, genre of stubby web. They say, I like this. Looks like an overexposed and high saturated photo, but yet comfortably muted. Yeah, I like the electricity that's happening with the marks.
I've been working so frantically. I feel like I haven't even looked at the whole thing at once yet. So let me stop for a minute and look at it.
It's got a real stylized feel, and there's a lot of I don't want to use the word electricity again, but it does kind of feel like that. The marks are energetic, especially in the grass.
Yeah.
And I like the top edge of the rooster, whatever that thing's called up there at the top.
The comb?
The comb. Yeah, very good.
The comb of the rooster.
The comb. I like the comb.
Yeah, you think of the comb as being really red. Oh,
yeah.
He needs a beak. But in this case, that's what I should work on in the last couple of minutes. He doesn't have a beak. How ridiculous. Let's get that in there. And, the comb is red, but in this image, it's mostly really pink. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Maybe he's not wearing his comb stick.
What?
You can buy comb sticks in all different colors. Natural red, purple, violet. You know how people wear lipstick? It's a comb stick.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
That's why it's pinker.
The color of his comb stick.
He didn't put on his comb stick this morning.
Didn't have his comb stick.
Maybe he needs to go to the drugstore and buy some more comb stick.
All right.
All right, LE says, my husband says this rooster looks just like his crazy pet rooster as a kid on his parents' farm.
Oh, I'm jealous that your parents had a farm. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because I didn't grow up on a farm, and I always wished that I had. So, trying to get it all.
Well, you could start a farm.
Matt, I have thought about starting a little tiny homesteading ranch.
Yeah.
But I worry that I only have a few good years before my back hurts too much to keep up with that kind of stuff.
Well, that's not the right attitude.
I know. I'm giving up before I even start. I'm like,
I can't start a farm.
I could do something different.
I'm not going to be physically able to do it 15 years from now.
My health will probably go downhill. So that's probably not a good idea. So. All right, let's see. I know the time's up. Usually we stop.
Yeah, you can keep on fiddling around.
I'll fiddle around for just another minute. I'm not too dissatisfied though with where I ended up in 45 minutes.
No, I think it looks great.
I was a little bit worried about just there's so much variety of texture in here.
Yeah,
wasn't sure if I would get sort of slowed down a little bit in the texture, and then maybe I did some. But
I'm trying to think of an artist that I can compare it to. And I can't really think of. I can kind of think of a style that I've seen before that's similar to this, but I can't think of a name of an artist. But it definitely has a unique feel associated with it. And Eddie says the drawing looks darker than the photo. Is that your intent, please? Well, this is a kind of a loose sketch. So the intent is not to create a realistic representation of the photo, not in this case anyway. Working with these materials and with the size that Ashley's working on, that would be nearly impossible. But what Ashley has produced here is a unique drawing, an artifact that's different from the photo, that has its own unique character, its own unique sense of movement, and it gives this rooster, male chicken, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of added interest that it doesn't have in the photo. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely darker than the original photograph. But remember, artwork isn't seen next to its reference photographs. It's just seen as its own, like Matt said, it's its own artifact. And so, well, I want to judge my drawing based on, just the drawing itself. Is the composition strong? Do the values and colors work with each other? And then, of course, our references, our guides, sometimes we use them as exact copies, and sometimes we just use them for a lot of visual information, but saving some of those choices for ourselves, some of those options.
My favorite part of the drawing is on the lower right-hand side where the grass meets the body and the shadow. Right there, that little shape, right in that area, that whole marriage of that darker green in the shadow, that lighter green, and then the darkness of the body.
In there a little bit to try to cool it down.
Yeah.
Some just in that area. So, at the end of the season, Matt and I talk about all of our drawings. We go back over them and critique them a little bit after having been away from them for a while. And we'll talk about the darkness then. And after some time away from it, I'll be able to probably better tell you what I would do different if I were to repeat this drawing. But for a 45-minute sketch, I'm pretty happy with this.
And I also like that little bit of light you put up in the upper left-hand corner.
Up in here?
I think that helps balance it out.
Yeah, and there is something light up in the reference there.
Yeah.
And it's not green, it's just some gray branches. But I liked that little explosion, that little burst of value. So I thought I'd put that up there, include that. There's so much going on over on this side, a lot less over here. So it adds just a little bit more interest to the left side of the composition.
All right. Well, any other touch-ups you want to do there?
I think I would actually like the transition between those two greens to be a little bit more gradual. So I probably should put a few of the lighter green marks into that medium green. It just felt a little bit abrupt to me. So, okay.
All right.
I'm good with that. I think I'm good with that.
Well, very good. Well,
Right,
I think it's
that's it.
fantastic. I think it's unique and different from what we typically do, but we're kind of doing unique things every week now.
It's definitely different from what I usually do.
It's
Because I
different,
was trying to use a new material for me, the ArtStix, and just kind of preview them for everybody and see what they look like. So this is the first drawing I've made with ArtStix.
But
so I think I'll use them again.
If you put all the drawings you've done on black paper for Getting Sketchy, the cat, the path, and the rooster next to each other, they all have a similar language.
Similar. Yeah, I have a certain way I work with black paper.
And it's different.
It's a bunch of
drastically
disconnected
different
marks that just kind of eventually, hopefully, harmonize.
It's drastically different than how you work on a drawing on white paper.
Yeah.
It really is.
I would agree. Totally
that's
different
interesting.
approach.
So, all right. Well, we'll switch back over here then. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the last hour. I certainly enjoyed watching Ashley create the drawing of the rooster. And I also liked having fun with you guys as well, like we always do. So anyway, for those of you who are members, we're getting ready to head over to thevirtualinstructor.com, and we'll be broadcasting there as Ashley is continuing to lead this series where he is drawing or painting in Photoshop, working with a caterpillar.
A monarch caterpillar.
Getting close to the end of that series.
That's right.
So we're going to be continuing with that in 30 minutes from now. If you're not a member, you can start your trial and you can join us over there. The live lessons are definitely a little bit more structured than Getting Sketchy, but also a lot of fun. So, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us tonight. Ashley, you want to say anything to anybody before we...
I hope that if you drew along with me, I hope that you're happy with your rooster. Of course, next week, Matt is going to be returning. to the drawing board with facial features, and while I decide on our next farm-themed item, animal, object, I don't know what.
I just hope it's something that we can eat, because that's what I think of as farm animals. Things that we can eat. No, that's terrible. I don't think of farm animals that way.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. No, that's not true. Anyway,
don't worry, we're going to draw bacon.
Just the bacon, not the pig. Anyway,
Right.
Next week, as Ashley mentioned, I'll be drawing. And my motif this season is facial features. Last week I did an eye. This week, probably going to do a nose or the mouth. It's not probably. It'll be one or the other. I still haven't decided. So you'll have to tune in next week to see that. Don't forget to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment below, too. You can do that as well. And 3 free course videos and ebooks. Link in the description. Good night, everybody.